Pour yourself a Warp Core breach and welcome yourself back to Quark's Bar and Audio Hoo-Mons with your host,
Brian and
Alex. Audio Hoo-Mons is two dudes, one who has seen all of Deep Space Nine and adores it and thinks it's the best Star Trek. That's me, Alex. And the other guy
is quickly falling in love with it, but was actually spent its original airing overseas, so missed quite a few of the episodes. So I'm getting to experience many for the very first time.
Well, and thank you for your service. I know that's why you're overseas. At least that's what you told me.
Maybe.
Well, I hope you enjoyed last week's episode where we tackled Melora and what was the other one? Rules of Acquisition.
Rules of Acquisition. Yes.
And we obviously don't need to regurgitate everything we said about those two episodes because we didn't think there was much to talk about with those two episodes.
Correct.
It was a couple of rare in a row episodes that we just found to be okay, but not worth a big hairy deal talking about. Right, Brian?
Agreed.
Yeah.
100%.
So we're going to get to a great episode today, Necessary Evil, in just a moment. We got a few things to go through. But most importantly, sir, what is your Tranya?
I am trying, and I don't want to get off on too big of a tangent. I'm actually enjoying the 12-year Scotch house brand from Costco, the Kirkland's.
Oh, yeah.
12-year. And it's actually nice. It's smooth. I did hear a rumor that Aldi, not in the U.S., but in Europe, their house brand Scotch won some incredible awards. This is really nice. It's actually made in Scotland, and little 12-year, two very big fingers and a little bit of water and some ice.
Did you say the one you're drinking is from Aldi or from Costco?
No, mine is the Kirkland's from Costco. Okay. The one from Aldi is not available in the U.S. It's only available in Europe, but it just won some really good, prestigious awards for single malts.
Well, I am kind of boring tonight. I am basically right now drinking water. I did have with dinner, I had a Sam Adams lager, but I've got some stuff to do and can't afford to get half in the bag like some people. Yeah. I'm just kidding. But who knows? Maybe tonight I'll have a nightcap or something. But I've got that half marathon in 2 days. I know I'm going to have a few drinks tomorrow night with a buddy who's also a runner, and he said it was medicinal, so okay. But I'm not drinking Friday night, so I'm just pacing myself. Tell you what, this running thing, my left leg, I'm just telling you, I will be glad when this is over because I'm going to freaking retire from this long distance running. I'm serious. I'm too old for this shiz.
Just dress warm.
Apparently, we're going to get some weather, but not as badly as what you're going to get up in the Chicagoland, but we're going to get some weather.
Yeah, we had some snow.
Of course, by the time you're hearing this, folks, that's been long behind all of us.
We'll be a week removed from all of it.
And assuming this is not the Alex Memorial broadcast, since I didn't survive I shouldn't joke about that. People died doing half marathons. But I'm in good shape, I think, and I'll be all right. Hey, before we get to it, I got some huge, exciting... I almost wanted to do a special episode about this, and we may do. As you may know, here we are, friends of the show. We are supporters of the Deep Space Nine documentary.
I started to think about the title of this final episode, which is What You Leave Behind. And I started to think, what have we left behind?
We've wanted to make a Star Trek show that would satisfy a Star Trek audience, but different.
We had this big black captain in your face. America, come and look at me, and I'm running your show, and this is the face of it.
One of the things that attracted me about the Star Trek was that I would be human, completely human, and brown, too. See?
It was dark and dirty, and the characters didn't all get along.
Nothing was black and white. She was a terrorist.
The show spoke about nuances of war that people don't know.
It was something totally different in the world of Star Trek.
If people aren't bothered by it or don't like it, you're doing something wrong.
With all due respect, Deep Space Nine is not really Star Trek.
It's not true. We did wonderful, painful work. It was often very painful to do.
It pissed us off.
I did feel like Alice in Wonderland being dropped into this amazing world.
I never felt appreciated on the show.
I think there was a serious intent about the war, perhaps a more serious intent.
Oh, well, I didn't know that because it seemed very funny to me.
That anger is mine! You can't have it!
I don't think that ever happened.
Don't dismiss me. Talk to me.
Only the people involved know the facts.
This is Rashomon.
It's Rashomon.
We have no idea.
Everybody
I'm
has a
so
different
glad
point of
I
view.
asked this question.
Next.
We're in Vegas right now with a ton of people downstairs. They love this show. It just took them 20 years to get here.
It went where no one has gone before. It pursued the journey inside, not the journey out.
I wish I could go back and relive that just one more time.
It was like a family on the show, you know? It was like a family on the show.
That 7 years changed my life.
That's very emotional, you know?
Guess what? This is Deep Space Nine. Don't get too comfortable.
Now, if you're not familiar with what that is, and after hearing about it here, just really quickly, What We Left Behind, looking back at Star Trek Deep Space Nine, is a documentary produced by the former showrunner of Deep Space Nine, Ira, Stephen Bear, the guy with the blue goatee. This promises to be very exciting for more than just because they're looking back at what I think is the seminal Star Trek show, but they're also, get this, the crowdfunding did so well for this documentary. They had enough money to go back and do several scenes in high def. Deep Space Nine was not recorded and broadcasted obviously in high def back in the 90s, and there is an interest and movement afoot to try to get Deep Space Nine redone in high def. Now, you may recall they redid all of the TNG in high def and re-released it, but
right.
there's no interest in Paramount's part, who got apparently some. They're wearing a barrel right now. They don't have a lot of money because they just don't think the audience is there. So, what's really exciting, according to the information they just put out, Fathom Events. You ever go to the movies and you see how they have like Fathom Events and like they'll do opera and they'll do all sorts of stuff. Well, years ago, I took my poor wife to see a Fathom event when they remastered in high def. I think it was in high def, but they remastered the Menagerie, the two-parter from the original series, and we went to the movies to see it. And they had everybody.
Oh, wow.
People were dressed up. My wife's looking around. I'm like,
Sure.
I know, just roll with it. It's really good. Of course, that's the one with the Captain Pike retread, and Pike's a big deal right now if you're watching Discovery, but I'm not going to get off there. So, What We Left Behind, though, this documentary, the Kickstarter campaign, raised almost $650,000 with about 9,500 backers, including yours truly. We put in a little bit for the high def. We're like high def backers. I don't know what the thing was. I've posted before about it. But the point is, I get a sneak peek since I was the one who did that. But I get a sneak peek online. But what I'm excited about is on May 13th, I believe. Yes, May 13th. You can go to the theaters and see a Fathom event broadcast of, and one time only, of What We Left Behind. And there's 2 theaters in my area that are showing it. I'm going to go to one. And are you looking or thinking or maybe?
I'm looking. I got online and they hadn't released the theater names.
Oh.
In my area, or I couldn't find them. So it could be a navigational error on my part, but it said Chicago, but it didn't say whether it was coming out closer to me or whether it was downtown or at one of the larger theaters. I just didn't know.
It's not like something you're going to want to get on the train and go into Chicago on a Monday night.
Maybe if things work out, I certainly will make an effort. So,
well, apparently the general public tickets go on sale on April 12th. You can go to fathomevents.com and plug in your email address, and they will let you know when they go on sale and all that. Apparently, though, the documentary goes for 2 hours and 10 minutes. There will be giving away at the theaters a special poster. Mm-hmm. That's going to be pretty freaking cool.
Two-sided one.
Two-sided poster. Nice. I mean, like, this is the real deal. It's an 11 by 17, limited quantities. Something here about a roundtable discussion on the making of the documentary, but I think that must be, I don't know if that's part of the deal or what's going on. But
it could be some of these events, similar events, will at the end of the presentation will go to the theater where the the chief actors are, and then
and
they'll do a
broadcast
discussion.
that?
They'll sit on stage and then talk about the documentary and the show and the making of and that kind of thing. So there might be a big viewing in Hollywood, and after the show's over, it'll go to a live stream of their event at their theater.
Well, I'm totally going, and I hope you can go. But here's what I'm thinking, folks. If you're in the Kansas City area and you're going to go, and I might create an event for this. I don't know how to. I don't want to glom on and create an event, but I'd love to talk to, if there's any Trekkers in Kansas City who will go, and I'm sure there are. If they're not listeners to this show and you're in that area, please let them know. We'll put some things out about it, but I'm going to bring the old portable recorder, and I'm going to try to get some interviews with fellow Trekkers, fellow Niners, and see what they thought of the documentary. So I'm going to try and do that. I don't know.
That'd be fantastic, and then we can air some clips on an upcoming episode of the cast.
Yeah, I mean, we might even, if you see it especially, and we can at least talk about the documentary, I think then you and I should do a Red Alert edition on that. What do you think?
Absolutely, yes.
And we can do that there. So I'll tell you what, and here's another thing we're going to do too. So just everybody who we can't be in the same room with, don't worry, because we know we've got listeners all over the place. Here's what we're going to do, and I'll give instructions when we get closer in. It's really simple. If you've got an iPhone, I don't know if Android phones do this. I assume they do. But on an iPhone, you can do a voice memo, right? And then you can email what you just said, and you can email it to audioumox@gmail.com what you thought. We'd ask everybody to keep it to your name, where you're from, long-time listener, first-time caller, whatever you want to say, and then give us about 30 seconds of what you thought of the documentary. And by the way, you can do that now. If you want to talk about, if you want to yell back at us on audio, feel free to use your phone and record a message with your name and where you're from again, and email it to
and a verbal permission for us to use it.
Yes, and I'm gonna say this. I mean, that's a very good point. I'm gonna say this though. If you send it to audioumox@gmail.com a recording, you are basically saying you're giving us license to use it. I swear to goodness, if you send me something and we post it and then you get all mad about it, I mean, you're going to make a fool of yourself, not us, because the law will be on our side. But yes, you could probably say, I give permission for this to be broadcast. Okay, I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, so I'm just so excited I can't stand it, because if you have not seen the trailer on our Facebook page, it is posted. I posted the trailer on April 9th. At about 3:18 p.m. So look on the news feed of the post, and it's just a post that says "Be there, DS9 Doc," and then it's a link to the YouTube "What We Left Behind," looking back at Star Trek Deep Space Nine. And so far, 13 people have looked at it. We've got a like from a guy named John Michael. Thank you, John Michael. Appreciate it. So go look at that, and if that doesn't get you Niners excited and get your Klingon blood boiling like Gowron, and your eyes popping open like... I'm sorry, I'm getting very excited here. I'm so excited. And you got to see it just to see how incredible the cast looks, too. Even today, they all look great. I mean, of course, they've aged like we all have. I mean, this was 25 years ago, but they all look really good. And most
really do, yeah.
Most everybody's still with us, and it's just a delight to see Gul Dukat and Damar, and of course Weyoun. I mean, all the actors who played them, along with Andy Robinson and all the regulars. I'm so excited. Okay, I know, yeah. I got to calm down. I'm getting the look from Brian, like, dude, calm. All right, What We Left Behind. I'd love it if you all go see it at the theater, and then send us what you think about it or thought about it. And then after that, it'll be out on. I don't know if it'll be on Netflix or DVDs or what. I know that all the backers are going to get...
it'll probably stream somewhere. Someone will secure it.
But you want to see it now when it comes out in May, so we can all talk about it. Okay. I will stop. Okay. But you've got some news. From wormholes to
black holes. So, and I've always been a lover of Albert Einstein, and
really did Mrs. Einstein know this?
She was all about it. He was proven right yet again. There was a project, the Event Horizon Telescope project, was looking for. You can't actually see a black hole, but you can see the effects of a black hole, and they were able to take a picture of a black hole's event horizon, which is the
rim,
kind of the rim, a shiny ring around the edge of that black hole, and it's huge. First off, it was I think it was 6.5. Oh, where's the size?
AUs? It's not that big, is it? It's not like astronomical units, is it?
The mass of it is 6.5 billion times that of the Earth's sun.
That's a big hole.
That is a big hole.
Damn.
And yeah, anyway, it just interesting. And so I would encourage you. I'm not going to get into, and I'm certainly not an astrophysicist or a cosmologist or any of those.
Or a cosmetologist.
Or I'm probably closer to that. But look into it, and if you're a fan, you've probably seen it already. But it's just remarkable, and I'm just constantly amazed at the vastness of the universe, and the speed at which our technology and our scientific ability to examine it is accelerating. It's just amazing. So things like we discuss in science fiction are becoming science fact at a rapid pace, and I just love that.
Well, you're a Einstein fan. I'm a huge, being a professional communicator. Carl Sagan's one of my heroes because he could communicate science so well, and gosh, can you imagine if he were alive to hear about this? I mean, I think Einstein would just laugh, but I think Sagan would be full of awe and wonder.
Oh, sure, yeah.
But I like Sagan, though. I have Sagan's fear, though, that our intelligence, our technological prowess, and our ability to innovate is outstripping our maturity as a species. So not to be a downer, because this is a popular or positive thing, but I do fear a lot. But I'm going to turn this around and not leave it on a note of fear and just say it certainly gives me hope, though. And it's so nice to hear some positive news that's not the shit show in Washington, D.C.
Right. And it was also the result of this wasn't just American scientists. Right. It was scientists around the globe through many European countries, and it gives me hope of a unified planet. And I think that's a hope that the Roddenberry canon
very
really speaks of. So.
Yeah. No, I think you're totally right on that. Great. I'm glad you brought that up. I have just one more little bit of note here before we get into Necessary Evil. Okay, so I have a little bar, downstairs in my place, my new place. It's like a man cave. I don't like to use that term because my wife and daughter are down there all the time too, but it's like a kind of a rec room. You've been there. You finally came down. You've seen it. Yeah,
I have.
Yeah, so I've got a TV, a little viewing area, and we're cord cutters, and we were having a tough time getting signal down there even with our repeaters and all that stuff, so from our Wi-Fi. And I thought, well, shoot, why don't I just go old school and get an antenna, not rabbit ears, but an antenna that goes outside. So I ran a cable. I bought one online, like $50, really nice. Looks like a Voyager satellite. It's kind of cool. It's like Voyager. And I just hooked it up on my back deck, and I ran the wire in there, and all of a sudden I get 54 local channels.
Oh, wow.
And they're not all religious nuts or My Pillow or dumb, crazy stuff or shopping.
Right.
There's a lot of that.
Or the old 1940s soap opera crap.
Right. But what I did find, besides MeTV, which the main reason I wanted was I'll see my beloved Svengoolie again, which now Saturday nights you want to find me, cocktail in hand, watching Sven and having a good time watching those old movies. But there was, besides MeTV, which shows all TV that was on when I was growing up, and they're showing Buck Rogers of the 25th Century. Oh, my gosh. Oh. Erin Gray, though. Gosh, Erin Gray, though.
Oh, she was something.
You kidding me? All right. Besides that, but I found another channel. It's called H&I TV, Heroes and Icons, and you can find more about it on HandyTV.com. But guess what they do every weeknight? Check your local listings that I just mentioned, but they start with an episode of the original series of Star Trek, followed by an episode of The Next Generation, followed by an episode of Deep Space Nine, followed by an episode of Voyager, and I think they work Enterprise in there somewhere too. We're talking everything except for the newest show, Discovery, is being shown.
Wow.
I could be in serious trouble Because the other night I told the girls, I'm like, hey, I'm just gonna go. I'll be back.
I'll turn the computer off. I'm just gonna watch a little TV.
Yeah, and then they come down, and my daughter comes down and goes, "Oh my gosh!" And I'm like, "Well, it's great." And you know what episode they had on the other night? They had the one. Well, I don't want to. We're going in order here, but they had a great 6th season episode. I think it was 6th season with Vic Fontaine. It was a great episode. A lot of singing and Kira and Odo, and anyway, I'll leave it at that. It was just so much fun to watch. And so you can get your Trek fix, or you can overdose on Trek for free on Handy TV. That's H&I, Heroes and Icons. Again, I don't find it. I never saw it on my cable system. It was over the air, which is nice to know that if I ever completely, like if I didn't have Wi-Fi going on anymore, I could at least still pull this down and get my Trek fix.
Awesome. Very nice.
So I was going to say, are you watching any of Discovery?
I'm not. I have not seen an episode.
Can I ask why?
I don't have a great reason.
I'm putting you on the spot here. I didn't even talk about this before the show started. You're looking at me like, thank you.
So first off, is it not on the CBS streaming?
It's on CBS. You got to get all access to see it.
Subscription. So that was one. I'm kind of subscribed out. I am a cord cutter and ditched the satellite, and I'm using PS View for my TV, and I use Netflix, and I have Amazon Prime. So between the three of those, if I can't find a program, I figure I can wait until it does enter one of those three universes.
Okay. I ask because I'm on the social media a little more than you, I think, especially interacting with people on Twitter is more so. That's usually me, folks, if you're on it's at Hoo-Mons podcast. I had Samir, I believe, one of our listeners, who wanted to know if I was still watching it. He DM'd me and asked me if I was still watching it, and he'd given up. And there's a couple others.
Yeah.
There's a couple others that follow us, and we follow back, and they're like Trek fandom engines of some sort. They're either a website, they're not podcasts, most of them, and there's a lot of pushback. And I got to confess, I'm not in love with it. I've actually, as you know, and I don't talk about on this show, but it's going to be a red alert one of these days. I'm not a fan of the JJ verse, and I think that the new Discovery series is very much a JJ verse type of thing, and there's so much to go into with that. That's a special episode. But I just wanted to
the lens flare episode,
and they have tons of that here. But I'm a little torn because they have Jonathan Frakes directing a lot of these episodes. He directs a lot of the Orville, which you still watch the Orville.
I
gave up.
Way behind. I think I just get so busy.
I didn't dislike it, by the way.
Yeah.
I saw 6 episodes. I was like, okay, that's fun, but it wasn't for me like appointment viewing. It's okay.
Right.
I'm not knocking it, but I like Jonathan Frakes. I like Riker, and he's a good director, and he's directing a lot of Discovery, and that's great. And he's saying nice things, and of course he's going to say that. And you're seeing that in a lot of the fandom stuff too. Fans will say what they think, but then you see people like, you'll even see like Aaron Eisenberg, who played Nog. He and Sirach Lofton, they do a podcast. From what I can see on social, they're boosting Discovery, but of course they're going to. These are actors.
It's in their best interest.
They want a job down the road. They better not say any shiz about it. But I have some issues with it. So I guess I wanted to just ask you, and then if I know I always do this. I take up so much time. We've only got a few minutes left in this episode to talk about Necessary Evil. But I just want to say to folks, I have very strong opinions about Discovery. Very strong. I just don't feel right about sharing them when my buddy hasn't even seen the show.
Yeah. Well, we could. I could certainly, if I could find it. I don't want to subscribe to another streaming service just to watch one show. And part of me is angry that they did that. I get the why,
the marketing,
but
it's a little cynical, isn't it?
It is.
Well, maybe
anyway.
Hey, how about this? You and I'll talk offline about maybe a way we can do a Red Alert special and talk a little bit about it. And maybe there's a way we can talk about it without you having seen it, and it'll still be all right.
And I'm sure I could probably find pieces and parts. And
well, but here's the thing. Even if you got a subscription now, there's almost 2 full seasons of this thing, which Like
Right.
you have so much time to watch TV, you know. So I don't know. I guess I'm just wanting to make sure that everybody, all our fans, and I use that term loosely, but our fans, our friends who listen to this, I want you to know that I have strong opinions, and we'll figure out a way to transmit those to you. Or there may just be one where I'll go solo and go on a rant, and
Sure.
and do that.
There may be, like when I'm out of town, out of country, maybe. So,
well, you've got that coming up. Is that October or so?
October will be the next big one. So,
well, maybe it'll be before that, but we'll see. All right.
Okay.
It'll be so. Speaking of necessary evils, let's talk about necessary evil. As you may know, folks, we don't really go through point by point the plot. We assume that if you're listening to this, you've either seen it or you have seen it. If you haven't seen it before, you're going to see it prior to listening to this, or maybe you're just looking to us to tell what we liked about it, and you don't care, especially if we give away a plot point, because you want to know if it's worth your time to watch it.
Sure.
That's what we're trying to figure out here with our format. That's what we're going to do. So,
generally speaking, just to refresh some people's memories, there's a Bajoran woman hires Quark to find something for her, and it opens up. It is a box, and it opens up a bit of a Pandora's box, a little bit of a time travel, because there's an unsolved murder, and so between Odo has to get a few. He has to solve a mystery, basically, and so it's a fairly interesting episode. But what ultimately happens is, in my mind, a few things are revealed. First, not necessarily foremost, but in chronological order, there's an interesting reveal about Rom, in that he has a naivete about him, but he is, in terms of technical things and engineering, he's maybe a little more savvy, or definitely more savvy than Quark had given him credit. So he's able to break in. He's found a way to get behind a wall all very quickly. He's able to penetrate all these defenses, and then of course reveals the fact that he's done the same thing at Quark's, but all for a good cause, to help customers. But it certainly forces Quark to kind of pause a little bit. He's realized he's underestimated somebody. So I found that interesting.
Yeah, I have the same note, so that takes care of that one.
Good. And then, of course, this episode reveals the meet cute between Odo and Kira.
Right.
So during a flashback, there's some very interesting interaction between the two of them, how they've met. So that was the second real observation that I had. The third one, prior to this, Odo talked a lot about justice.
Yes.
But this episode truly, I think, demonstrated his belief in justice over letters of the law. So I think in his non-pursuit of Kira, in his ability to maintain their friendship with very little change, it was because he saw what she had done as just, given the circumstances. Yeah. And I thought that was just an interesting. Those were the big takeaways that I took.
Yeah, rather than the Cardassian neck trick, he talked about the justice trick that he thought might have been just something inherent in him from his actual people.
Sure.
He doesn't know that, but he surmised that. Well, good stuff. I agree with you. You get this murder of this guy Hat Trick, and then you have. You got this going on, and
is it 3 times?
There were 3. Were there 3 murders? There were almost 3. Well, if you count the guard who got gored in the sick bay or in the infirmary,
it was a hat trick.
Jeez Louise! But no, I love how this episode started. The thunder and the lightning. I mean, it sets the mood. They're on Bajor, Quark and Pelra, who is, and I love her costumes throughout this episode. They've got her looking, it's very reminiscent, in my opinion, of a 40s femme fatale. This whole film, there's this whole film Trek noir look here. There's this whole film noir look. I mean, the cinematography right away, even before the flashbacks, is very similar, very reminiscent of The Third Man, which one of my all-time favorite movies, Orson Welles, Joseph Cotten. The flashbacks to 5 years before, the way they redressed the sets of DS9 to transform it to Terra Nor. I mean, that could be the streets of Vienna just after World War II for The Third Man. I mean, that's Vienna 1948, the little interregnum between...
And the blue filter, the blue,
and the dirt in the air, and
right.
It's
very well done.
The atmosphere is clearly transformed. So they've got that going on, and then you've got Odo kind of got this Sam Spade-like log that he's, the voiceover. He's doing his log, and he sounds like a gumshoe to, Sam Spade here. I thought that was so great, and there were some other good moments that, and I'm jumping around a little bit, but like when he opens the door to the area that used to be the shop, and then he triggers a memory, and he goes into a flashback, and the door's open, and there he is, and there's Dukat reclining in this little space, and with a cup of Ractigino or whatever, or some fish juice, whatever it is he drinks, and he's. I mean, that's a really powerful image, and Dukat, and there's Dukat in all his glory. He's in charge, and this is interesting to me because Dukat apparently is wanting to do right by the Bajorans and not get people executed because of if the Central Command or whatever finds out there's been a murder, and it's his job just to beat it out of people who did it, and but instead he's like, I'm going to empower you, Odo, Mr. Neck Trick, to do this, and you're just like, okay, and I went along with that. I was like, well, because slimy as he is, Dukat has a streak in him of. And it's usually bullshit, but he can get me going. I can believe him for a little bit, and I did.
So
I thought that was a really interesting because that door just opened.
And that he's the one who anointed Odo as a detective, as a protector or a guardian of sorts for that place. I found that interesting, and then of course Kira titling him Constable
the first time, right?
I thought that was fun.
So I mean, that's something I don't even think about, but Kira is the one who gave him the title of Constable. Dukat, it's interesting because I made notes here. It's like, Dukat always a tad enlightened, or is he? And because he's always got a reason for what he's doing.
Sure. I mean, it was obvious he knew something, or was looking for something that